Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a Screenwriter's Rant by request. And this guy's been lurking in my comments for I don't know for how long. He's begging me to look at this trailer for The Lady of Heaven. It's a religious movie. It's totally not my thing. But I will analyze it from a movie perspective. This is not an analysis of a religion. Okay? Just keep that in mind. Alright. So, like a lot of religious movies, it has that music in it, you know, the like the sitar kind of music. That's like, because a sitar is kind of like evokes like ancient times. And it starts with like some guys from ISIS up to no good, and then some kids getting caught up in it, like his mother gets killed by one of these guys, and he's trying to figure out his life, and it's from Enlightened Kingdom, which I assume is some Saudi Arabian or, I mean, because look at the logo. That looks like a Middle Eastern company to me. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong. I have a lot of fans from Saudi Arabia because I reviewed Massamir. I had to delete that, by the way, because YouTube flagged me for it. I'm not exactly sure why. But anyhow, The Lady of Heaven, I assume, is an actual religious story, part of the Muslim faith, about Muhammad's daughter. I assume it's a legit thing. I don't know that. But she seems to be sort of like the Virgin Mary, I guess. But she was Muhammad's daughter, I guess, 1,400 years ago. And then after Muhammad died, she kind of took over for his, I don't know. I don't know much about the Muslim religion. I don't know if he was like the leader of a country or he was the leader of the faith. So she kind of was second banana? I don't know. I don't know anything about it. But there's a lot here that, you know, it's just very religious. And it would hold weight, I assume, by people who were steeped in this knowledge, you know. But it doesn't hold any weight for me because it's not explained clearly enough for a novice. It's just, you know, I've gleaned a handful of facts from this. Or I knew a few facts going into this, but not enough to understand what's going on. All right, so 1,400 years ago, it's like 600 A.D., I guess. So I assume these are the Moors running around North Africa and the Middle East fighting each other, because this was sort of the height of their power. In the Middle Ages, everybody was, you know, or this was the rise, I guess, of the Middle East, and Europe was, you know, entering the Dark Ages and going back to banging rocks together. I don't know any of these actors, and none of the events have any meaning to me other than, okay, there's a war, some fight scenes, and then they contrast that with some ISIS guys or Al-Qaeda guys. I mean, I know the two time periods. This looks like the Middle East. I mean, it looks okay. But, you know, the heavy-handed dialogue doesn't hold any weight because I don't know the story. And it's not presented in a way that someone like me could even get it. But I guess what they're trying to do is contrast the religious events, or the ones they believe had happened, with the modern day. And then probably there's angels. And then probably somehow it probably bookends. It starts in the modern era, goes back in time. He reads about the Lady of Heaven, and then, you know, the ending would be something like he takes away something from the story and maybe turns his life around. I guess. I don't know. She apparently was very inspiring, but see, the trailer just keeps telling me that. And in movies, You don't tell, you show. Show me how she inspired people. But that's really hard to do. So, I mean, got a lot of set pieces, tons of actors. I mean, it looks like it's competently produced. Sounds okay. But I know nothing about it. And I wouldn't imagine most people, unless they're steeped in this knowledge, would even get this movie. They would take one look at it and go, oh, it's a religious movie. Oh, it's Muslim. I don't know anything about that. You know, if you're Muslim, maybe this is like watching The Passion of the Christ. I don't know. I mean, I used to be Lutheran, so I kind of know the story of Jesus. I mean, I didn't really pay attention in Sunday school, so I know some of it. But this I know nothing about. So I don't know. They could be completely changing the story. This could be one of those stories that was inserted in the text later. This could be some, I don't know if it's Shia or what's the other one? Shia and Sunni. I don't know which one of them this would ring true. Maybe it ring true to both. I don't know. And I'm not asking you for that knowledge. I'm just analyzing this as a movie. So as a movie, you know, they sent me the link and it's like, oh, 2 million views. Yeah, because there's a lot of people who are religious, and this is the only kind of thing that would be aimed at them, so they'd be totally on this. And these are rare kinds of movies. I assume this was produced probably in the Middle East. Quite frankly, I'm surprised more of these movies don't get around. You know, big budgeters, because you know, people in the Middle East. I mean, the families over there have wicked amounts of money. But you know, it's all about presentation. You know, and it's my limited understanding that showing Muhammad is not a good idea. They don't like showing him. That's like one of the rules. So I'm not sure how you can even make a movie. I guess because he dies at the beginning of the movie, they can make the movie about her and get away with it. That's what I'm assuming. But would I watch this movie? No. No. It's probably long and boring, and I wouldn't get any of it. You know, I'm sure it might ring true for people who are, again, steeped in this, but it's not for me. Is it a good movie? It's like a movie you see on A&E or the History Channel. It's just taking an old text, probably, and reenacting what people believed happened. So, I mean, it's like doing stories from the Bible. You're just following the Bible. You got the whole script right there. You can't really change it. You can't change much. People will get mad. You know, you can't have Jesus come out of the cave on a motorcycle. That would totally infuriate people. Same thing with this. I have no idea, though, if this is accurate. Maybe somebody set me up, say, oh, review this, and then everybody's going to get mad at me. So, you know, as a broad appeal, this trailer just, you know, it's no good, because outside of people who already know the story, there's probably not going to be any interest here. It didn't present to the layman well enough, and I'm totally a layman in this, so I have no idea what's going on, and it's just not drawing me in, because I don't know any you have to give me character in order to feed your message, right? So if you have a dynamic actress who plays the Lady of Heaven, and then, you know, we see her in the trailer more and get a real idea of how she, you know, and it's hard to do, because actors are very reluctant to play those roles in an interpretation, right? The only one I can think of is like Passion of the Christ. No, wait. Which one was it? The Last Temptation of Christ. The Martin Scorsese film with William Dafoe. And that movie was a little different because it was an interpretation of the Bible and what might have happened. Maybe. And so the actors could play it a little different, and they could bring a little more to the table because they had that flexibility. This looks more very straightforward, so I don't see the actors having a ton of flexibility here. They just kind of got to go with the ancient scriptures. So, and again, you can't add anything. It's hard to add anything without, changing the direction of certain moments. And that could get religious people very upset. They could be furious at me right now just for even talking about this. So, most of these movies are going to be, they're going to be straightforward. I think the rare exception is Charlton Heston as Moses, right? Because that movie was a big production. And it was the first time, essentially, that a big Bible story like that was made. And the Moses story kind of worked for a movie. It was epic, but it was also this big story about a guy who rises to the top and then finds religion and God, and then kind of falls out of favor, but then makes this amazing comeback, and and then his epic ending is he doesn't get to the promised land, but he gets to see it, and then he dies, right? So it's a pretty epic story, and that fits well within a movie. Plus, you had Charlton Heston and his gravitas pulling that off. I don't see the gravitas here. It's just not here. So, I don't know how you could fix it, quite frankly. I wouldn't even attempt to. I couldn't even tell you what's in the first, second, and third act. It's not a first, second, and third act situation, really. They'll try to maneuver some of the events into a first, second, and third act, but there's only so much you can do because you have to follow the story as it was written. You can't, you could skip over parts, but even that's risky because that a part you skip over might provide some much needed context to something that happens after. So my advice to anybody writing a movie like this is it's a minefield. It's a minefield in a lot of ways because you have a non-religious audience they're going to be like, oh, I don't want to see a religious movie. Then you have the religious audience who will be incredibly demanding. And between the two of them, what do you do? And on top of the fact, there are only very tiny portions of the population who would even fund something like this. And the stories tend to be very epic. They're period pieces, tend to be very expensive. I will say they spent some money on this movie. They got a lot of people. They got a lot of stunts going on, a lot of action, a lot of explosions. So this movie ain't no low budget deal. No, they spent a little money here. This is at least, I would say they spent at least 20 million, 20, 30 million. It's at least a mid-range. They could have spent a lot more. Some of these actors may be popular overseas. I don't know about. Maybe it's some of the Bollywood guys. I don't know. But Lady of Heaven. I guess if you're interested, check out ladyofheaven.com. I mean, this dropped back in December. And so there you go. That's my analysis of this very religious movie.